Hybridization is a technique used for developing new varieties of crop by crossbreeding between two different varieties. I repeat, children, hybridization is a technique used for developing new varieties of crops by crossbreeding between two different varieties. Suppose a scientist wants to develop a new crop having some desired characters. Suppose a scientist want to develop a new crop having desired characters. What should he do? He have to select two different varieties and crossbreed them. Crossbreeding is nothing but can be done only by the process of cross pollination. I think you people are already familiar about your cross pollination and self pollination. What is meant by self pollination? Self pollination is a process of transferring of pollen grain from a flower to the stigma of the same flower. I repeat, children, self-pollination is a technique of transfer of pollen grains from a flower to the stigma of same flower. It results in self-pollination. This self-pollination will not give you the desired characters. Whereas in cross-pollination, the plants will get pollen from the other plant. That is the reason it will get mixed characters. And here, in order to suppress the self-pollination and encourage cross-pollination, the scientists follow a small technique called as emasculation. Why is emasculation done, children? This is to suppress self-pollination and encourage cross-pollination. Why? Because cross-pollination results in giving mixed characters of both the parents. Cross-pollination gives us mixed characters of both the plants. Here, if the scientist was taking two different plants, here you can see the emasculation between or a cross-pollination between two different colored flowers. If you can ever observe here, the scientist has taken purple color flower and white color flower plant. What he is doing here to the purple color plant, he is just removing the anthers. Removing the anthers will suppress the self-pollination in this flower. There is no pollen grains. That is why this flower cannot undergo self-pollination. Compulsory, it have to undergo cross-pollination. It should receive pollen from other flower. That is what done artificially by the scientist. What is the scientist doing here? Here he is undergoing emasculation process. What is meant by emasculation process? The removal of anther or male sex organs of the flower is called as emasculation. Children, you may ask me a doubt that teacher, why can't we remove the stigma? If we remove the stigma, you can't get the fruits. If you are going to remove the stigma, you can't get the fruit, and indirectly you can't get good crop production. That is why emasculation is generally done to get high yielding than or else to encourage cross pollination. Okay, children, here he is removing the anthers and this process is called as emasculation. Later, he will get the pollen from this another parent which is having desired characters and cross-pollinate it. And after cross-pollination, it undergo fertilization and produce different types of seeds. And these seeds will have both the parental characters. Okay, children, this is what we call it as one of the technique to get mixed characters or hybrid varieties. That is called as emasculation. Okay, children, did you follow me? What is protoplasm? Protoplast or protoplasm here? Protoplasm is a mixture of cytoplasm and nucleoplasm. As you people don't know what is protoplasm, I explained in brief what is a protoplasm, how it is formed. Okay, how this scientist is going to remove this protoplasm out of the cell? He is not going to remove it. He will add chemicals which will dissolve this nuclear membrane and cell membrane so that your cytoplasm and nucleoplasm fuse together and form the protoplasm in a test tube. He will collect the protoplasm of a plant in a test tube. Madam, whole plant protoplasm he will collect? No. He will isolate the cells from the growing tips of the plants. What are the growing tips? The tips of the plant that grow throughout their life. These are root tip and shoot tip. Okay, root tip and shoot tip. The scientist will isolate a group of cells from the root tip and shoot tip and dissolve these cells in a chemical so that he will get the protoplasm of plant A and protoplasm of plant B. Two or three cells is enough, Nana. As he can't isolate the individual cell, what will he do? He will take a group of cells. And what will he do? He will fuse both the protoplasms of A and B in a test tube. Here you can see when they fuse, no, both the cells are getting combined. Is it not? And form a cybrid. What is meant by cybrid here? Cytoplasm. Cy means cytoplasm. Cytobrid means combination of two cytoplasms. Cybrid is a cell formed by the combination of two cytoplasms of two different cells. Two cells. A hybrid cell which is formed by the combination of two cells. And after this hybrid start growing, you see, you can see some sprouting of your seeds in your houses. Such type of sprouting can take place in the test tube itself. This hybrid will start sprouting within 4 or 5 days, and after it started sprouting, no, he will transfer this hybrid to a pot with soil, and he will maintain until it grows into a small plant. After that, he will transfer it into a soil and grow there as a plant breed. And the plant which comes from this hybrid will give you the seeds of all the desired characters. Okay, children, did you understand how is this hybridization technique takes place? It is also called as protoplasmic fusion. First, the scientist will isolate the protoplasm of two cells of desired plants and fuse them in a test tube and form a hybrid. After this hybrid starts sprouting, he will transfer it into a pot, and after he get a plantling, he will transfer it into a soil and grow the plant there. And he will keep on observing it and providing all the required nutrients and protect that plant and get reproduction, and he can observe the hybrid qualities, and the seeds produced from such a type of hybrid plant we can call them as hybrid seeds. Okay, children, this is a hybridization technique which can increase if you use such type of seeds, no, you can increase crop production. This is one of the method to increase crop production. See, these are the hybrid varieties of a paddy and a mixed variety of potato and tomato. See, generally the paddy plant will give you, the local varieties will give you less grains, whereas this hybrid variety of paddy is giving you number of grains to each plant. Obviously, if you use these hybrid varieties, no, what happens? Your crop production increases. And next, coming to your another type of hybridization, you can such a type of crossbreeding can be done between two plants. Here, a crossbreed is formed between a tomato plant and a potato plant, and we call it as a pomato plant. See, if I go for planting such a type of pomato plants in my field, no, I will get two crop at a time. That means I am increasing production in the same field, amount of field with the same investment. I am getting double benefit. I will get a potato crop as well as I will get a tomato crop. In this way, if you can use this hybridization technique, you can increase the crop production. Okay, children, that is about your crop production. Now coming to the next topic, that is green revolution. What is meant by green revolution? Green revolution is the revolution which is started in 1960s and 1917 in India, in our Indian, and it is brought by importing high yielding varieties from Mexico. And they started increasing the wheat crop production, which resulted in the good crop production in your wheat crop. And this green revolution is initiated by the scientist called M.S. Swaminathan. That's why the M.S. Swaminathan is called as father of green revolution. What is meant by green revolution, children? Green revolution is a revolution which is started to increase in crop production. What is the need for increasing in crop production? In order to meet the food requirement for the growing population. That's all about green revolution, children. Who is called as father of green revolution? M.S. Swaminathan. And now our next topic is nitrogen cycle. What is our next topic, children? Yes, nitrogen cycle. Before going to discuss about nitrogen cycle, let us nitrogen is important to plants. Not only plants, nitrogen is also a vital important nutrient in our body also. See here, you can see in the slide the importance of role of nitrogen. Nitrogen is a major substance in plants next to water. Plants require water and carbon dioxide for photosynthesis process, as well as not only water and sunlight and minerals. Plant require this nitrogen as a major source after water for photosynthesis. Do you know why, children? Because nitrogen is important for the synthesis of chlorophyll in the leaf. If chlorophyll is not there, the plant can't prepare their own food by photosynthesis process, isn't it? It is one of the important nutrient in plant body. And as well as nitrogen is an nitrogen is a used as a building for construction of building blocks in our body. It is an important source of proteins, and proteins are called as building blocks. Apart from this, nitrogen is a constant element of chlorophyll, as I told you, cytochromes, a type of cells in your plants, alkaloids and vitamins which are present as the plant products. And as we depend on plants for food, and this nitrogen assimilate into our body part also. Nitrogen plays an important role in metabolic activities like photosynthesis, protein synthesis in our body, and it helps in growth of our body, it helps in reproduction, and it helps in heredity also. Heredity, just now we discussed, genes carry from your parents to you, and these are called as genetic material. These genetic material are composed of nitrogen bases and nucleotides. Nucleotides and nitrogen bases contains nitrogen in them. That's why in every part of our life, we and plant depend on nitrogen. That is why we are discussing about how this nitrogen is available in the nature, how it get into our body, and how it is maintained in the nature. That is what we call it as nitrogen cycle, children. And now, what are different steps in your nitrogen cycle? See, this nitrogen is present in the atmosphere. The amount of nitrogen in your atmosphere is 78%. The air is present in your atmosphere, and among the 100% of air, you can see 78% of nitrogen in your atmosphere. At that much amount of nitrogen is available, this is in the form of nitrogen gas, Nana. This nitrogen gas cannot be absorbed by life forms. No living organisms can absorb this nitrogen in the gaseous state, gaseous nitrogen state. Okay, children, that is why this nitrogen is first fixed in the soil and converted into soluble nitrates. And these nitrates are absorbed by plants, and from plants we absorb them into our body. This is how the nitrogen comes into our body and plant body. That is what we call it as nitrogen fixation. Okay, children, see, to remember the steps of nitrogen fixation, you can use this word fix NAD. Fix, NAAD. Fix means fixation. N means nitrification. A means assimilation. Another A means ammonification. And D is denitrification. Fix, NAD are the 5 steps in your nitrogen cycle. Fixation, nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification, and denitrification. In nitrogen fixation, I'll show you the slide. First, let us discuss here. In the nitrogen fixation, the atmospheric gaseous nitrogen is converted into ammonia and then ammonium ion first. And this ammonia is converted into nitrites and then into nitrates by the bacteria present in the soil. This step we call conversion of ammonium into nitrates. We call it as nitrites, and nitrates is called as nitrification. Okay, children, and this ammonia which is converted into nitrates, that is absorbed by plants. Plant absorbs nitrogen in the form of nitrates, and after the plant absorb these, and we eat plants, and that get assimilated into our body. And as plant absorb it and perform photosynthesis, this nitrogen incorporates in the plant body also. And after this, no, children, after what happens, after that the plant and animal will die, or else we defecate the waste material. All this material consists of ammonia. These nitrates are converted into ammonia in our body, and they are defecated out or left out in the form of ammonia only. And this ammonia is uh, converted into soluble form into the soil by the decomposers. This process we call it as ammonification. Conversion of nitrates to ammonia we call it as ammonification. And after that, this ammonia is used up by the plants, or else left like that, and that ammonia is converted into nitrate and into nitrogen gas back by the denitrifying bacteria. This is what we call it as denitrification. That means if you see, children, in the nitrogen fixation, we are converting nitrogen into a gaseous nitrogen into soluble form, and in denitrification process, soluble form is converted into nitrogen gas back. That is the reason the nitrogen amount is constant in the atmospheric air, that is 78%. It keep on circulating in the nature. That's why we call it as a nitrogen cycle. This is nitrogen cycle, children. The atmospheric nitrogen is converted into ammonia in two ways. One is the ammonia nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen can be converted into soluble in two ways. One is atmospheric nitrogen fixation during lightning. During lightning, children, a huge amount of heat is generated, and this heat it converts this nitrogen gas into and converts this nitrogen gas and reacts with oxygen and converts into nitrates. And this nitrates comes down dissolved in water as a acid rain, and that rain reaches the soil, and this can be absorbed by the plants directly. Okay, children, during lightning, a amount of heat is generated. Using that heat energy, nitrogen and oxygen react and forms nitrates. These nitrates comes down in the form of rain, nitric acid, and that acid comes reach to your soil, and that is absorbed by the plants. Another way of nitrogen fixation is called as biological nitrogen fixation. That is done by living organisms. I think you people already learnt in your class 7 symbiosis. What is meant by symbiosis? Symbiosis is a process of mutual relationship between two living organisms where both the organisms are mutual benefited. That means here the nitrogen fixing bacteria is present in your rhizobium bacteria, that is which is present in your leguminous plants, converts these atmospheric nitrogen gas into nitrates, ammonia first of all, and this ammonia is converted into nitrates by nitrifying bacteria. You can see here the rhizobium bacteria is converting it into ammonia, and this ammonia is converted into nitrates, and these nitrates are converted into nitrates. These nitrates are absorbed by plant, and after this plant and animal take this from the plants, nana, when the animals depend on plants for food, and that ammonia or nitrogen gets assimilated in the animal body part also, and animals defecate waste material, and that can be decomposed into ammonia again, or else after the plant and animals die, they are decomposed by the aerobic bacteria and anaerobic bacteria and fungi into ammonia. This ammonia can be reused by the plant or else converted into nitrates, and then nitrification takes place, and then denitrification takes place, and these are converted into nitrogen gas and released into air again. In this way, the nitrogen keep on circulating in the atmosphere from a gaseous form to soluble form, as well as from soluble form to gaseous form. This is what about nitrogen cycle, children. That's the end of your lesson 1, crop production.